Part 1. Discovery. I took out the bathroom trash one Saturday morning, like I always did. Nothing unusual, just part of the weekend routine, making sure things were tidy before Kay got home. But as I dumped the trash into the kitchen bin, a tiny, glinting square fell out onto the floor, a condom wrapper. It felt like the walls around me were closing in. Kay and I hadn't used condoms in years, not since I had my vasectomy. I just stood there, staring, trying to process what this meant. She worked nights at the casino, came home by sunrise, and I barely saw her before I headed off to my own 9 to 5. It wasn't a life we'd chosen, exactly, but one we'd drifted into, losing our connection somewhere along the way. For a second, I wanted to confront her right then and there, but I stopped myself. If she was cheating, I wanted proof, so I put the wrapper back, took a breath, and started paying attention. I noticed her texting more often. She'd smile at her phone or hide it from view when I came in. At first, I thought it might be one of her co-workers, maybe a dealer or a bartender she'd met during her shifts. But I wasn't sure. One night, I installed a hidden camera in our bedroom. I told myself I'd rather know the truth than live in ignorance. And soon, that truth would hit me harder than I ever imagined. Part 2. Betrayal. I watched the footage late at night, alone in my study. The camera feed showed the bed, familiar and unchanging, until one night, the door creaked open, and Kay walked in, hand in hand with Sam. Sam, my best friend since grade school. The one guy I'd always trusted with my secrets, who'd been there through everything. There he was, his arms wrapped around my wife, like he'd done it 1,000 times. I sat there, fists clenched, watching as the two people closest to me betrayed me in the most personal way. I wanted to throw something, to storm over to his house and tear him apart, but in my fury, a realization settled over me. Maybe this was partly my fault. Our marriage had been hollow for years. I'd known that. Maybe I hadn't tried hard enough to fix it. So I came up with a plan. Something that would save my marriage and, maybe, give Kay what she clearly craved. Part 3. The plan. The night I confronted Kay, I wasn't angry, just calm, collected. I told her I knew that I'd seen everything. She was stunned, terrified, like I'd just read her deepest secret. But instead of demanding a divorce, I suggested we try something new, something to reignite our intimacy. We could swing, I said, and her eyes widened. I explained it to her, suggesting it as a way to bring us closer, to rediscover the spark that had been missing for so long. To my surprise, she agreed. Over the next few weeks, we explored things we hadn't dared to touch in years. It was awkward at first, but slowly, it rekindled the intimacy we'd lost. We were sharing our fantasies, laughing, even talking about the things we'd buried in silence. I thought it was working. Then, one night, as Kay and I hosted a couple in our own bedroom, I heard a knock on the door. I opened it to find Sam, his face twisted in anger and heartbreak. I barely had a second to react before the gun went off, echoing through the room. In an instant, everything was shattered. 4 shots rang out, each one taking someone down, before Sam turned the gun on himself. And then, silence.